Tonight, a search finds 171 plausible grave sites in an Ontario former residential school.
Our next steps are to gain greater certainty on the number of plausible graves.
And a hijab-wearing student has been attacked by another student in a Mississauga school's corridor. Later in the show, we will look at the future of the construction industry for 2023 as it emerges post-lockdown.
Due to the labor increase, due to the price increases in material, and also due to the delays in shipping, we now see a lot of backlog.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Catherine Bullock. An ongoing search for unmarked graves at a former residential school in Ontario has uncovered 171 plausible burials. Members of the Wajesk Onigam Nation said yesterday that out of all these burials, only 5 are marked. Managed by the Roman Catholic Church, St. Mary Residential School started operating at the end of the 19th century in Kenora. It was closed in 1972. The National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation records show that around 36 students died while attending the school. Chief Chris Skeed says that based on the testimonies of survivors, the number is expected to be much higher. A viral video of a young Muslim woman being attacked in a school by another student is sparking outrage from the Muslim community. Posted on a TikTok account, a hijab-clad girl who appears to be in her late teens is seen assaulted by another person with a hoodie and mask on. The incident occurred in the Woodland Secondary School in Mississauga. The school has not yet commented on the situation. Mississauga has one of the highest populations of Muslims in the Greater Toronto Area. Last year's estimates show that 11.9% of the population in Mississauga identifies as Muslim. Police are investigating a weekend robbery that occurred in Ibrahim Jami Mosque in Hamilton, Ontario. The police say a man wearing a grey hooded jacket and winter boots broke into the mosque on Saturday at 2 a.m. in the morning. After taking some items, he fled from the mosque on foot. 2 weeks ago, the mosque was vacated due to a bomb threat tip received by the police through an anonymous call. The police say they are still investigating the previous incident. They say so far they have not made any connection between the two incidents. At least 10 soldiers were killed and several wounded yesterday in an Al-Shabaab attack on a military base in Somalia's Middle Shabelle region. The deadly assault on the base, some 60 kilometers north of the capital Mogadishu, began with a suicide car bombing, according to a security official in the area. Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack, which came a day after the Al-Qaeda affiliate lost control of 2 strategic towns in the central Galmudug state. The terror group claimed to have killed 63 soldiers. Somalia has been plagued by insecurity for years, with Al-Shabaab and ISIS being among the main threats, causing thousands of casualties each year. The pandemic and its associated lockdown, as you all know, affected many industries. To find out how the construction industry fared during the lockdown and pandemic and in the upcoming year of 2023, we are joined now by Sohaib Shafi from Stallion Construction. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. I'm Sohaib. I work with Stallion Construction. We're a family company here in the GTA.
Thank you for joining us. I heard one builder, I think he was in another country, not Canada, talking about how the impact of the lockdown and the whole pandemic had on his business. And he had a rather devastating loss. He said because of the rise in prices, he decided to honor the contracts he'd signed with customers before the lockdown. But once the lockdown was over and the labor prices went up, building prices went up, material prices went up, he lost $350,000 because he decided to honor the contracts that he'd signed and not pass on these new costs. Would you say that that's a normal experience of the construction industry companies, or is his was sort of an anomaly?
This is a norm throughout the other builders I've spoken with in our own experience. This has happened as well, and that's exactly due to the labor increase, due to the price increases in material, and also due to the delays in shipping. We now see a lot of backlog, whereas before we're able to order anything we need a week before, but now it's taking maybe a month, 6 weeks before.
Yeah, he was saying that, like, you'd strip down the bathroom and then all of a sudden the new product is no longer available, and then the customer's waiting weeks and weeks and getting obviously very upset. How do you manage that customer relations aspect?
So now everyone knows what we're going through. It's a worldwide phenomena that there's delays. What we tell customers now is that let's plan ahead. Don't be so eager to start early. Let's order the material first. Let's have a place to store it. That way, once we get started the work, we're not waiting for anything to get shipped. We have it all on site and ready to go. So that's how we're faring with things now. It's just more storage solutions.
And do you find that people now then are understanding, but in a way maybe they weren't in 2020 when this all started?
Yes, everyone's definitely a lot more understanding. I think everyone, not just in the construction industry, it's all over in many industries. So anyone that's working kind of understands this, that there's delays in every industry.
During the lockdown, were you forced to close operations, or did you figure out a way to do safe social distancing while at the building site?
So initially it was since when no one knew what was going on, it was a complete halt in construction. And then eventually it became okay that you can have maybe 25% capacity on site, which isn't reasonable in construction, because then something that would take 1 week will take 4 weeks to do. And that's a big delay if you continue like that. There were certain aspects we were able to do, such as, different trades working on different floors, some trades working inside, some trades working outside. So whatever we were able to manage and make efficient, we worked with what we had.
I don't know much about the labor policies of the construction industry, but there were a lot of people in situations they were not eligible even for sick days. And so they had to go to work even if they had COVID. What was it like for the labor force in the construction industry? Were they forced to go to work? Was COVID hitting them massively? Tell us a little bit about that.
So from our experience, no one was necessarily forced to go to work. Everyone had their own choice. But we did see, because of that choice, that there was a lot less people willing to work. That's driving the price increase in labor, because the labor wasn't available. And that also affected a lot of the delays, because it's one thing that you're willing to pay more for someone to come to site, but another thing to find a new person that's willing to come to site.
And is that a thing of the past now? 2023 has solved that, or is it still something to grapple with?
The effects are still lingering. And even before the pandemic, there was a generational culture shift where less youth were going into the trades. So we already had a strict demand on labor, which we needed more of, skilled labor. And then with the pandemic, it just kind of made things a lot more difficult for the labor market.
You mentioned this now, labor shortages. You mentioned building material shortages. There's the price rise of materials. Is this affecting people's decision to build?
It definitely is, especially with the cost going up. A lot of people have decided to delay their project and wait until things calm down a bit. Some people have actually decided to speed it up because they don't want more price increases. With all that's going on, the construction industry, like all the professionals, are still able to complete all the projects, in a very timely manner. I would say the situation that, even though maybe it gets worse, but everyone is still working very hard, and it's still going well. You still see many new restaurants, many new houses coming up.
I heard in Europe that they are now doing something called wellness certifications for buildings, concerning about making the building more safe from a health point of view. And now there's a certification system. Have you heard of anything like that? Is it here in Canada?
I haven't heard of anything like this, but we have had a focus over the past decade or so on air quality, and just the more engineering and building science point of view when it comes to building, especially in residential. We've added a lot of things to our building code, such as HRVs, which is in a heat recovery ventilator. So it allows you to ventilate your house, bring in fresh air without losing, for example, in the winter time, too much of your heating. And in the summertime, it does the opposite. You can get fresh air without losing all the, power you've used for cooling the home. So things like that will ensure that the air quality is good. We're making sure that the materials we're using aren't harmful to the air quality either. More mold-resistant materials, more focus on waterproofing and damp-proofing areas of the house to avoid mold and air quality issues. And with air quality, again, even if someone's sick in the house, then you don't have a lot of, I guess, the same stale air staying in the house, and you have more exchange between the outside fresh air and the stale indoor air.
I know someone who was thinking about installing one of those in a house that I think is about 25 years old, one of those air exchangers where it has that, buffer zone to heat up the cold air, and as you explained it, but couldn't find anywhere in the house where it would sort of fit. And are you now saying that this is becoming part of like a standard design?
Yeah, so now every building that we're doing, even the commercial buildings, it's part of the building code. As the building code's evolving, we are becoming more green and environmentally friendly, and it's good because it keeps the cost driven down as well. In terms of space, usually the HRVs or the ERVs, which is a similar thing, it's an energy recovery ventilator unit. They can be hung up in the ceiling, so typically above the furnace, above the water tank, in these types of areas. So usually it's not too intrusive.
Oh, that's a good tip. I'll try to remember to pass that along. They might be very happy to know that. During the pandemic and the lockdown, people were working from home, those who could, and the offices were empty, and people were thinking, maybe the whole office life is over now. Now, maybe some companies are asking people to come back, or we have the hybrid workplace. Has that changed the concept of an office building in a central business district?
100% it has. I know in San Francisco, they are looking now to convert the office spaces into residential spaces because there's a lack of housing and there's an excess of office space. So, the building's already there. It would be cheaper to, instead of building a brand new residential building, to just retrofit the old office space into residential. So we see that happening as well. Hopefully, maybe we can do something similar in Toronto.
Well, that would really help ease up on the housing shortage. Is it something that you as a construction company would decide, or who would make that decision?
It would typically be, started with a policy or entrepreneurs and developers that are willing to take that jump. And then what we specialize in is once we have the drawings in our hand, we take that drawing and bring it to life.
We're almost out of time, but do you have just something you want to say about 2023, looking forward for the construction industry?
Construction is one of the most difficult industries out there, and we've always been faced with challenges regardless. So anything that comes up in 2023, no matter the challenge, I'm sure all the general contractors, engineers, and architects, we're up for the challenge, and we're ready to keep on working.
Well, that's very reassuring. Thanks for joining us and sharing with us these insights today. Salam alaikum.
Thank you. Walaikum assalam.
Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. Stay safe and God bless.